We are going to fix this, and we will show you how. So today we're going to put together this transmission specialties kit in this TH400. There's a couple cool features about this. One of the coolest things is that your solenoid's internal. It's in the fluid. There's no way to cook the solenoid by the exhaust collector in the style kit. The other cool thing about it is there's literally no moving parts in the valve body. There's just the manual valve, and that's it. Everything else is non-wear. And then you have your return springs for your direct and hardware. It's a pretty simple kit. It's very easy to install. We'll walk you through it step by step, make it short and quick. We have the valve body and filter and pan already removed. He's going to remove the pump bolts, and then he's going to thread in some 3/8 bolts and grab them with his locking jaw, slide hammer, and the pump's going to come right out. In this kit, you have to drill a hole in the direct clutch drum. He's going to pull the forward pack out, and right behind it's your direct. So the hole that goes in the direct drum is behind all the clutch packs. So you have to remove the clutches, remove the clip that holds the return springs in. He's going to put the entire drum in the quick grip tools, and then he'll dump everything out on the table. There's also the inner seal in the drum that needs to be removed. You're going to drill a 16th hole in the back side of the drum. Choose a spot that is far enough away from the sealing edge. Use a center punch so your bit doesn't walk, and be careful as you drill through. Clean up your chips after you're done. Take the time to deburr so there isn't anything hanging. We use petroleum jelly to help get the seal back in the drum. Take your time. The jelly dissolves in Dex 3, so there really isn't any worries about that. Put in the heavy return springs that are included in the kit, and then put it all back together in reverse order. I put the direct drum back in the case and function checked it. There's 3 holes in the bottom of the case. One of the holes activates the clutch pack. I was having some back feed through the far hole, didn't really understand it. All I wanted to check is to make sure that the seals weren't torn or damaged. The kit comes with a pressure spring for the pump. Sometimes it's easier to do this while the pump's in the case. And if you have somebody to help hold the pump, you can dig the snap ring out and replace the spring with the one provided in the kit. It helps to use some jelly on the valve to keep it from coming apart when putting the new spring in. Make sure your washer's on there. Sometimes it's easier to have to stand in vertical, but it's not actually too bad. Just work it and it'll go in. There it is. It's all the way in. The pump is now ready to go on. There's a thrust washer on the back side of the pump that needs to be on. We put a little bit of jelly around the O-ring to make it slide into the case easy. We were careful to approximately line up the bolt holes while putting it back into the case. We also put a little bit of RTV on the threads and underneath the bolts that are nearest the pan rail. It's important not to draw the pump down with the bolts. Make sure it's seated before tightening all the bolts. And at the end, check to make sure there's end play, which will double verify that you'd not tighten down on clutches that weren't completely engaged. In a situation like this, I always say if it has end play, it's fine. Don't turn it into a game of trying to eliminate all the end play. It was just in the vehicle and working. Remove the two rings underneath the rear servo cover as shown and put back together in reverse order. Take the governor out too. The valve body doesn't need it to function and it's just not necessary to have in there. Before you put the valve body on, make sure your surface is flat. The instructions call to file or stone just to take off any edges. The plate does not have any gaskets. We use a little bit of jelly on both sides just to keep it from moving around. And then we put the valve body on after we install the one check ball with jelly to hold it in place. When we went to attach the solenoid in this kit, we realized that it was flipped 180. The wires wouldn't reach to the case connector. We ended up pulling the solenoid off with the two small nuts, flipping it, and then we were able to connect the wire. The other wire has to be shortened for the ground and is connected by a separate bolt. Here's the final wire routing. We ended up adding a cushion clamp just to hold the wire. This is not included in the kit. Replace the vacuum modulator with a plug. Verify that your valve isn't modified in any way. The valve should be completely stock. Go ahead and assemble everything else. The transmission should be ready to go back in the car. So in less than an afternoon, we have this back together. Everything seemed to go pretty good. The solenoid was flipped over 180 degrees, but after we got that figured out, everything bolted right in, hooked right up. This is your case connector that you'll want to hook to your button on your steering wheel. The transmission grounds to the case. When we have everything back together and some clean roads, we'll post an update on how well this works.